I see that we have 4 minutes left for questions. We're catching up with time in order to be able to leave for the Louvre. So maybe we can take a few questions from the audience.
Thank you very much. I work for the European Commission. I work for Thierry Breton. And I heard the criticisms that the European Commission has not got its approach right. Now, if there's anybody in the European Commission who understands digital, who understands the value of data, the importance of ecosystems, it's Thierry Breton. So I don't have a question, I have a suggestion, which is that you put together your recommendations in the area of GovTech and address them to the commissioner responsible. Thank you very much.
It's a nice invitation.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Thank you. There are questions.
I would like to know what you would change in the GDPR regulation to make a European leader in data sooner.
I think GDPR is quite fine. However, we have a tendency to put rules and heavy rules everywhere, and for our companies, something that we are experiencing, for instance, that the regulation of medical device has changed based on issues, which were true issues, and we had to make all this regulation evolve. However, it's so strict today that even French companies say, okay, let's move to US, the market is huge, the investment is huge, and the FDA approval is, strict, but the right way. And yeah, from the data point of view, I think GDPR had made a good job. Besides just the fact that health data is defined in the GDPR, but to my mind, anything at the age of artificial intelligence can be health data. But close the parenthesis. But for the medical devices, something like very, very tough. And I think we should be balancing risks against benefits, and it's all about the risk. But also, again, let's take into account the benefits.
Hi. Thank you so much for a very interesting and lively debate. I liked how you debated among yourselves as well, French and German visions of digital sovereignty. I think I just had a question for Faruk, actually, to whether you can give us a concrete example of how your company is helping local or regional or national government because I think for many people data is a bit of a buzzword, and it's harder to see how it can actually help improve public policy. So I would like to hear a concrete example of an achievement through your company.
Direct answer? So I can give you one example. In Germany, all cities collect citizen registry data where your citizen information is stored. If it's usually just done to check addresses or something, what we can do with it is we can integrate this data and get other data sources to it, like kindergarten data, and then put a demographic dashboard out of it, extrapolate the population over time. Then as a city, in 5 years, so many 0 to 3-year-olds are going to be born, are going to live here, and then I can either build kindergartens or close down kindergartens because I'm aging. This is something that is done manually, and this is something we can do automatically without any involvement of a public servant that can just consume the information. I think that's one example. Other example is that I said in Germany is a disgrace. We used fax devices to send COVID cases through the layers of government, and what we have done in one state is to digitize this whole process from generation of the data point in the school to the minister in a mobile phone dashboard where she can directly see where hotspots are popping up. And I think that's something also benefits that you can give with data.
I don't know what you do guys about your passwords, but eventually I found that writing them down on a small piece of paper, hiding it somewhere in a cupboard, is the best protection against loss of passwords and all sorts of accidents. So I'd like to start from this example to ask you whether you don't think that an important part of the digital transformation has to do with the way the digital world and the digital processes are articulated with concrete physical processes, habits, ways of doing. And this is where, for example, Clément said, yes, there are going to be cyber attacks on hospital systems, and that will lead to casualties. But, you know, we have to live with this. He didn't say so much, but that was the suggestion. But how about having a plan B, a low-tech alternative? So when the system is cyber attacked, suddenly we can go back to, you know, pen and pencil and whatever low-tech system there might be as an alternative. And I think this is also, this connects with the European thing. It's all very nice to say we want a European Google, but after all, a European Google might be just as bad fundamentally as a US or a Chinese Google. But to the extent that a European Google would be more virtuous, more aligned with our values, it seems to me that it would be such that, and that's the case for the entire movement of the digital movement, to articulate this numerical and real life interface in a European way, in a way that respects European values. And there I think that there's a lot in common between the Spaniards, the Germans, the French, the Italians, and so on. We have a certain way of living every day, of thinking of government, of government interference, and so on, and of privacy, and that could and should be implemented in this way of articulating the digital and the non-digital world. What do you think of that?
Yeah, this is very, very interesting, and let me go to one or two examples. From the COVID-19 crisis, we had a lack of a lot of tools, masks, and whatever. And again, this kind of community mobilized itself to say, okay, let's do 3D printing and use the available stuffs to make, to produce those kind of devices. And now at APHP, there is something like a long, let's say, trend to make some kind of securities where if something very, very bad happens, we can rely on other things. And these other things has to be commons, and we get back here again to the open source stuff. And maybe another thing which is more on your side, Daniel, of the ethical point of view, is the principle which is today quite popular in France and maybe spreading in Europe, called Principe de Garantie Humaine, Principle of Human Guarantee. It's in the AI space where you want to build a device with an AI embedded, and you guarantee that there will be an oversight by humans. And I think it's very, very important to go into this direction. And hopefully it's really now spreading in all this AI ethical space, which is quite fine.
And of course, the increased digitization is also leading to a more systemic risk to some extent. So the plan B that you're referring to should be native in anything we do, from the architecture to the functional aspect of that. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can take one last question.
Hi, thank you very much for the debate, which was very insightful. I come from an engineering and data science background, and I see that in my cohort, most of the brightest students go to the US to create their startups, study in tech. And so my question is, from your experience, do you think that in Europe we have the culture, the ecosystem to create entrepreneurs, to retain them? And
you want to go to US already?
Sorry?
You want to go to US already?
No, I'm actually in the US right now, but I'll come back later.
Okay.
Okay.
That's done.
I have a 10-year commitment to
send us your CV.
But the question is, how in Europe can we create those talents? But also, how can we, in a way, imitate the US in attracting the best talents from all over the world and making sure that they create value within Europe, actually? Thank you very much.
may I add on that? I think the reason why in the US is so vibrant is because there's a lot of money for all stages there, and I think I can't speak for France, but in Germany the problem is seed stage. We have a lot of VCs, pre-seed, even more Series A, B, like just to give you, this is the funding stages. And then in the big stages, we lack funding in Germany. Then it goes to the US, and I think that's a big problem, so that even our companies that are HQs are in Europe, that the funding comes from the US, but we see a lot of talent actually going to the US, and I think the reason is that we probably don't have big enough ecosystems. Again, it's a money question that we should be solved in the next 5 years, and then also probably don't pay the right salaries, because you get the experience there, probably a different salary, and then of course the choice is very hard to go to Berlin, to Paris, or to the Silicon Valley, and I think that's something that can be solved, again, if we abolish our thinking about national startups, right? We have to really be European in that sense, and then concentrate the capital on European benches and not just German and French.
Yeah, maybe I can add exactly a bit on what you said, Faruk. And maybe this is the second thing that we can draft to Thierry Breton. You know, in France, we say quite often that we are like risk adverse and we don't take risk where US takes. However, we have small funds, as you said, where US is huge.
You haven't been in Germany.
And to mitigate, and yeah, it's the same thing in Germany and in other countries. And to mitigate the risk, we have to build something like at European scale. And just to give you an idea, our company, we made some kind of a few millions seed round where our American counterparts raised $200 million. And it's not about the fact that we can't. We should be building something at the level of Europe, and actually we raised this money because an American company wanted to acquire us, which made them, okay, this is a good company, which is not rational anymore, so to say. But yeah, definitely, let's advocate for something like at more European level.
Yeah. And I will conclude by just saying that European VC industry has really improved and been catching up, I would say, over the last 5 to 7 years. Not totally, of course, the US is still leading, but it's not only about money. The US ecosystem is very rich with starting from business angel networks and teams of, I would say, experts coaching the startuppers. This is improving in Europe. I can see that happening. There is a lot of mobilization, and we're improving. But we are not yet at that stage, and the US remains, I would say, a must to access to market, to deeper funding, and time to market also, because funding is also a guarantee of getting quicker time to market. If you get quick to market, then you expand your market share compared to competition. So we can improve, we need to improve. And thank you all. It was a very energizing session. I hope that we have time now to leave for the Louvre. It's going to be great.